Hello, everyone. Nice to have you join us today. Today we have Sean as our guest for the podcast. Hi, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
You have an interesting domain name. So,
Avergence, and I'll explain why it is
Evergent.
what it is, and I think the pronunciation will become clear. So happy to talk about it if you'd like.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So I've been in emerging technology, God, 20, 30 years. What used to be emerging is now table stakes. So I remember when social media was emerging, video
Mm.
streaming and mobile apps was emerging. Things like artificial intelligence were emerging. So it's the continued march of technological progress. So what I think one of the big trends I see is the convergence of these emerging technologies, especially as it relates to social distribution channels, but more specifically artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and Bitcoin on the payments layer. And really, what we're seeing is a unification at the interface layer, application logic layer, and the database layer. So augmented reality would be at the interface layer, artificial intelligence at the application logic layer, and then Bitcoin or blockchain at the database layer with incentive and payments moving things in between. So the name of the company was really about what happens when these emerging technologies converge, what emergent capabilities come out. So it's a play on the convergence and the emergence of value
Oh,
creation from that. And then the end of the domain, so that's why emergence. And then the TLD dot team is because one of the things you find if you do a lot of research as it relates to companies is the team is actually the thing that has the highest correlation to success, especially in early stage high growth startups. So you get the team wrong, you get the tools wrong, and I consider the team to also include artificial intelligence. Um, get it right and you do really well, get it wrong, and you're really close to failure. So the our domain name team really has a lot of things that we're communicating all at once, and that's the origin story behind that.
so emerging technologies, just bringing everything together, and then the need for teamwork. You mentioned something just a couple of years ago. Most of these technologies were seen as emerging. Did you expect it to be this fast where it's now mainstream, more or less everyone has access to them when you started in
Mhm.
2017?
Yeah, I actually started in the mid 90s. I grew up in a
Mm,
small town in Iowa where Gateway 2000 computers were founded. So, GeoCities, AOL, Instant Messenger, the whole thing. So, small communities, free information, the transition of ones and zeros over the internet back and forth. So, it became pretty clear. And then I think the next point it became pretty clear was with the emergence of the iPhone and how it gave everyone a supercomputer in their pocket and connected everybody. Um, a very human-centric personalized device, sending you everything you care about to a single place. Now there's 2.35 billion Apple devices active on the internet today, and their services business is now about $100 billion. So, pretty good business. And I think it's always been clear that the internet was a global, what I call planetary scale technology.
mm,
We are connecting everybody on a single planet soon with SpaceX and Blue Origin, places like the moon and Mars. We already have devices, edge devices on Mars that we're sending data back and forth to. So, the internet is actually scaling faster than humans to other planets, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, I don't think the internet is ever going away.
mm.
So if you take a bet on the internet, I think you're good. The question was really what was the slope of the power law, of the compounding, of the diffusion law. The question was really a when, not an if.
Mm.
So it's been clear for a lot of folks in technology for a long, long time. The real challenge is commercializing that and transforming it into something that actually helps people rather than just falling in love with the magic of technology, which I'm in that camp. it needs to do something for somebody in order to be valuable. So that is the core of where we're at. It's kind of like when Tarzan touched an iPhone, that moment of change. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like I have the power of gods in my hand, which is kind of crazy, which, maybe you see right here. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
we take brand pretty seriously.
With the internet, it's definitely here to stay for a long time. And it's even crazy trying to think of an alternative. I don't know if you've tried to visualize, but is there something that can possibly replace the internet? If you're to just to think into the future, does anything
Hmm.
cross your mind at this point? Right now, I can't picture anything.
Yeah. It's so pervasive. So here's an
Mm,
analogy. I do have something, and I'll tell you in a second. So here's the
okay.
analogy. Um, Nobody cares about oxygen until it's gone, and then it's the only thing you care
Mm,
about. You completely forget about it because it's so pervasive. But I throw you into an aircraft in outer space, pretty soon you become pretty aware of the fact that you only have so much oxygen. What used to be completely ubiquitous is now very constrained and the most valuable thing. The actual fundamental internet is nature itself. If
mm,
you study physics and you go really deep, quantum, the Higgs boson, the field theory, what it actually says is there's a tapestry upon which everything is connected in the universe. And that's all the internet is just connecting one compute device to another compute device and then sharing resources. So in some ways, you could actually you look outside your window, you see trees, you see grass, you see human-made things, but birds, et cetera. You could argue that that's actually a artificial intelligence system that has found the path of least resistance, and it's encoding information from the natural world into all of these elements and objects. So, I think if we have questions, it's like look to nature.
What you just said now, I don't think we think about that a lot. Just how much information, first of all, is encoded into nature, and the things we do. I guess we are trying to simulate some of those things. We've just found smarter ways now to make it very obvious and visible to everyone. Since 23 with ChatGPT and Co coming on, and
Hmm.
now everyone has access to these things. More people are getting scared of their jobs. More people are getting scared of the future. They don't know what it holds. You sit within this domain, right? Is it something to be scared of? I think a normal everyday person will ask that question, right? These
Hmm.
things, the development in that area is really fast, is growing.
Hmm.
Recently, DeepSeek came out as well, and everyone is saying, "Oh my God, what is next?" Um, so for someone like you who is within this industry, what do you think people should think more about? Is it something to be scared of? Is it something, how do they position themselves to make the best out of it?
Hmm. Yeah, a couple analogies, but we should probably reason from first principles. So the first analogy is the Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knife is a kind of do-it-all tool that helps people, if you had to cut a piece of rope, you could do it with your fingers or your teeth. Might take a long time. Or I could use this thing called the Swiss Army knife and I could cut the rope much faster. And then I could
Oh,
use a little screwdriver on the end to like fashion a screw into a piece of wood and wrap that cord around it and then do something with it. So, pulley mechanisms, levers, things like that. So I think, AI is yet another tool. It's kind of a do-it-all tool. And we don't all yet understand how we're going to use that to speed up some of the things that we need to get done. But we humans have a way of continuing to compound and go search for value. And the value is all of like time savings and entertainment. And AI is pretty interesting because it can do both things. It could entertain you, it could save you time. So I think, are you worried about your job? I think it's going to take a while for this to diffuse out into the market. It's happening rapidly. People are going to learn how to use it, and I think it's one of those things where if you're trying to build a house, if you've got nails, hammers, saws, like you could build a house faster than folks that are, just trying to use their hands or some blunt tool. So I think that's really what'll happen is people will figure out how to use the tools better, and it'll become like just another tool that we use. It's just a different way of thinking about tool use. So I think it's interesting. But then the other part of this is, do you build the tool or do you use the tool?
mm,
So I've always found that. both are a flywheel. So if you can figure out how it works and then start playing with it and building the tools and building on the tools, then you'll have a better chance of being sought after because not that many people know it, understand it, have the experience with it. And so by that very nature, you can set yourself apart from the pack. I think both of those things are probably true, and maybe our jobs change a little bit how we do them, but the jobs to be done still need to get done. So something needs to help with that. Um, yeah, I don't know what you think about it.
Oh no, you're spot on. I think our problems, human problems generally will almost be the same. Maybe some things might change, but fundamentally is how do we solve them? What tools do we have to solve them? And AI, it's like one of those mega tools that can help you touch multiple aspects at the same time, faster and quicker than traditional methods typically we use. But just looking into deep into the future, right? And let's use our imagination. 50 years from now, AI is well, it's smarter. It will definitely be smarter than it is today. And the traditional things we do, like coding, I think that would change. Even manufacturing, I think, yeah, most of the systems, even going to Mars and all of that. I watched this
Hmm.
clip on how Elon Musk plans to terraform Mars, and some of it is send very intelligent bots first over to start doing some stuff to prepare for humans to
Hmm.
come in. So typically, definitely a lot of things we'll do will change. So what do you think will become very important to humans in, say, 20, 30 years time? Because if what we do currently will be done, which I believe a lot of it will be done by these systems, by bots and AI tools, what do you think will
Hmm.
be focused on? What do you think the value, what someone can bring to the table?
I mean, you're essentially talking about robotics, either digital robotics in the internet world or physical robotics in the physical world, and or both. And so, I think technology always changes, but humans never do, right? So we still have the same core needs: food, water, social connection, entertainment. But I think I'd almost ask the other question, what would it feel like if at the end of a long day, an entire global population wasn't tired because they weren't doing a lot of like manual hard labor, either intellectually or physically? It's a totally far off future, but what if we had pervasive energy, per- you know, pervasive money, pervasive food, pervasive water? What happens with society? And I think if you go in the super long term, the conflict will be one of like psychological, both internally. What do I do with my time? What's my purpose? That will cause some kind of awakening. But I think the other side of that is like, how do I compare and contrast? So sports teams are interesting. It's an outlet for aggression and competition, and nature is a competitive system. It's a, win, lose, survival. So what happens when, everyone is exactly equal and we don't have to fight for survival? Do we invent new things to take that place, as in sport, right? Rather than war? Um, or has it become exploration like Star Trek? We spend our time trying to understand the fundamental substrate of the universe. Is it searching for other forms of life? And the question becomes, well, at the end of the day, we just don't want to be alone. We want that connection. Um, so it's hard to say, but I think we can just look to our past to help inform our future. And, there's a lot of assumptions built into this, which is this vision, this Hollywood vision of like perfect humanoid robotics, and the three laws of robotics and all of that actually come to fruition. And we'll see what happens. I'm bullish on the human race. I think love is stronger than war and fear. And I think if we ever reach one of those precipices, I think that will ultimately be the thing that saves us. So I don't know. We'll see. I love technology, but humans have a way of using it for good and for bad. So hopefully we just continue to stay on the path of helping folks instead of hurting them.
Great. Hopefully we keep that going. And with this change, obviously the way business works will change. We're even seeing a lot of businesses emerging and growing faster than typically it would have taken. Um, from your perspective, how has these tools, I know most of them sit at the core of what you do, but how have they helped you to build a business? And if someone is to build a business today compared to the time it took, the market size and all of that past 10 years compared to today, how would you rate that? How do you think someone can actually build a business with all this available? And what's the
Hmm.
outcome of that structure or that the impact of the technology on the business in today's world?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's you can do things faster and do more with less. I mean, here's an example, right? Like I've been in this game for a while, at three tiers of the market: high growth startups, mid-market private equity, and Fortune 500. So let's take the startup one. Um, Imagine if you had done 10 startups back to back. Good, bad, whatever happens in those 10. You're going to get pretty good at the things required to create and build and grow a startup. You won't make the same mistakes twice. You'll see the same things that need to happen over and over again, regardless of the product, the industry, whatever, the team. And so you'll essentially define operating protocols. You could write them down on a piece of paper, and then it's just an instruction list that you follow. So by that lens, the 11th startup, the probability that you're able to succeed and grow faster, is much higher than the first time when you're kind of like fumbling around in the dark, right? It's like giving you a light switch. I think AI in some cases will help with that. It's a kind of do-it-all tool. So it can help you understand the instruction set in order, not perfect, but it can get you out of the gate. And then, the vision now that folks are working on this idea of agents is we can help
Yep.
you do some of those things for you. So we all stand on the shoulders of giants. So AWS is there, shopping carts are there, Shopify is there, distribution channels and social networks are there, global advertising platforms are there, and mark tech tools, sales tech tools. And so I think, as a way to bring all those things together, try to find and create a product that solves a need for a specific section of the market and then get that to them efficiently and run it well. I think it becomes easier, faster, better, cheaper. So we'll probably see more startups
Yep.
happen faster. And so that curve we're already seeing with some organizations is happening faster too, including like we all understand this game of venture capital. And so, while completely not democratized at all. It's still a good old so and so network and few folks in a few areas, but India, China, Paris, Latin America, Canada, I mean, these centers of pockets, even Australia, like are starting to come up, Singapore, Indonesia. So I think it can happen anywhere in real time. And, this whole idea of like, you got to be in the office to create value. It's like, that's obsolete thinking. Like if I have a global
Mm.
talent pool that can operate 24/7, 365 and follow the sun in
Yep.
my customers, I can internationalize on day one and I can beat you because while your company is sleeping from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., my company is still operating around the clock. So it's like you can
Yep.
do way more with less. And the thing is like, how long is your lever? So I think global talent pool, artificial intelligence, the team is really important. And yeah, you'll just start to see things like fireworks happening all over the planet, over the next 10 years. And it's going to be an interesting time to be alive for sure.
Yeah. For me, yeah, it's quite interesting, and I'm excited for the future because just like you said, like on LinkedIn, right? We have people different places that contribute to what we do, right? So it's round the clock. Even from a platform like that, we're able to scale some of the little things we're doing, and that's the same way with business, right? You come up with an idea, someone is in another part of the world, say in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, it doesn't matter round the clock, you can set up your team and then it grows. So for me, I'm actually excited about uh, the possibilities, right, of the future. With everyone having access to these things, what then do you think can distinguish people from others in terms of delivery, in terms of product? Because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the talent is now available. The tools
Hmm.
are easily accessible, right? So is it possible to have like, let's say, a Facebook of the future that distinguishes itself? Because everyone has almost those resources at fingertips to build something. So what would truly differentiate brands and people
Hmm.
from others
Hmm.
with with the technological advancement?
Yep. Yeah, we've coined this problem strategy in the age of AI. I've started writing a book or a paper or
Mm,
something, whatever you want to call it on this topic. We kind of saw this need in the past, and you're talking about a defensible moat
yep,
such that you can build a going concern and stay competitive. Um, so there's this like there's a book which is interesting. It's like these seven laws of power. So first of all, how do we define strategy? Our definition of strategy is how you win regardless of what competitors do. The word strategy is often misused by everybody. People will use strategy to say, like, oh, what's our action plan? What's our list of steps we're going to do? That's not strategy. Those list of steps don't mean that you're going to win in a constantly changing, dynamic, competitive market happening 24/7, 365 with the smartest people in the world that are hungry as hell. One of the things in the book is like it depends on your size. So a cornered resource is one that creates a competitive moat for early stage companies. What do we mean by cornered resource? Think about the team members who started OpenAI. Very smart PhD level, um, intelligent folks and Sam Altman, very well connected in Silicon Valley to raise money. You put those together, you now have a cornered resource that's different than the technology because those people are the ones, that team is the ones that built the technology, raised the capital to execute on it, and then took it to market with a product. So that cornered resource is very important. Now let's zoom all the way out to like the biggest companies in the world, the Fortune 500, all the way up to the Fortune 1. Their primary mode is brand. If you look at Starbucks right now, what's happening with them, the new CEO and the resurgence of their cortado and their new marketing, look at their ads. It's very interesting. Look at Apple. Look at the brand and the positioning that they have. Look at Nike. Nike, since COVID had another CEO, their brand value went down. It's the way you feel, the way you think about these companies when you hear their name. What comes to mind? How do you feel? And Nike just did this interesting campaign about unbannable, which is when they did the original Jordan basketball shoe, it got banned. So they're doing a new campaign. They're refocusing on their core value of celebrating sport and gender is secondary after sport. So you take those things together, you take like technological advancement, in the AI space, it's not really a competitive moat. We've seen that play out because of the open source capability of this, and it's really just math at the end of the day. Um, so to answer your question directly, that is, how do you get to strategy in the age of AI? Well, that's kind of our competitive moat. We've been operating for such a long time that we think we have a thesis on that, and we're starting to execute against it. So that's not something that I'm ready to share publicly, but yeah,
Not
we
a problem.
yeah, we help some of the folks we work with
Mm,
um navigate that train based on like where they are in terms of the team, the product, the go to market, their size, et cetera. So it's interesting. And I think, the time right now is an interesting time to be alive because it's disrupting everything. Tech was
yeah,
very boring for a while. So I think you have a chance, you have a shot right now to get out and go carve out a niche and create a brand and corner some resources and go do stuff. So I think agility is one aspect of that
mm,
equation. And I
yeah.
think just go is another one. But you've got to wake up to the fact that it's happening. So that's first. Wake up, get the right people, get going. And then the question is, which way do I point?
Point,
Which
yeah.
vector? Yeah, which direction do I point and how much force do I put behind it? That's the vector problem. That's the one
Mm,
that you should be right on. That's product management 101. It's write the spec and be right.
That's the one you don't want to share with us, but it's fine. Watch out for the results, and I think, but yeah, it's something because every day in like similar, for example, GPTs, they just keep springing up, and the question is, what will differentiate these products from the others, right? Everyone is bringing out something good, and for me, I try to connect it back to like on an individual level, then, right? Because all of a sudden, it might be before this time, one person can be special for over 20 years because just this person has so much knowledge or is known for it. Maybe there are other people who know things, but this person is known for it from a brand perspective. Um, this person did this and everyone, but today everyone can literally, with the right tools, with the right people, might not be exactly the same, but come up with products very similar. So for me, it's just how do we differentiate ourselves as a business, as
Mhm.
individuals, even those who remain in the corporate world, right? The question is, what do they need to do to just still remain relevant? That in a couple of years, people will still reach out to them to say, hey, we want your expertise. Please come help us. I don't know if that discussion goes on within your organization, if probably some workers come up to you to say, hey, boss, um, what are we going to do to make sure we are here? We're still important. I don't know if such conversations come up, and what do you typically say to them?
Yeah, I love tech as much as the net guy. I think we're in the business of magic, and no one really wants to know how the magic trick works. They just want the magic, right?
Yeah.
So technology is just a tool. People aren't clamoring for technology, even though like the media and all the companies are like pushing this technology as the product. Remember, AI is application logic. It's just a series of like instructions, if-then statements and regression lines. It's not a product. The product is the thing you buy that gives you value. So the product is, in the essence of ChatGPT, is you pay $20 a month to get the answer to your query, getting an answer to a question, more or less. You're paying 20 bucks a month for that. Um, so the real question is like, what do people need? What do businesses need? What do machines need? Can you give them what you need? And then can you price it at a point where they find value in it, but still enough to cover your costs and make a
Yeah.
margin such that you can continue to invest in that product and keep delivering a better experience, product or service to the market? That core dynamic doesn't doesn't change, unlikely to change. And so really it's like it's the old like business model we say, who buys what from whom for how much and why. If you
Mhm.
can't answer that, like business model canvas, get out of here. You got to answer that Mad Lib. Who buys what from whom for how much and why? Fill that out. If you can't fill that out, you don't have a business on your hands. If you can, then the next step after filling it out is to go validate it, go prove it, go find that person or company or machine to buy your thing, understand why they bought it, and then take a look at your books and see like, did I make a margin on that? If I didn't, I'm going to go broke. If I did, might have something on our hands. So AI might be able to help you, but you still got to do some work.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Just so that for the non-tech very technical people, they will not feel left out. What do you do for fun? Besides AI. And in the future with AI coming doing what it's doing now and in the future. So what do you think? How will people chill and just um yeah, be refreshed
Hmm.
without AI in it? Yeah.
Yeah. Family. I think family is very important. Close
Yeah.
group of people. Got a couple dogs, wife, close friends. That family is really important. So that's where I spend a lot of my outside time. I like exercise, lifting weights, running. That's fun for me. And then research, building products, knowledge, technology. It's sort of a hobby, a passion, a job. It's kind of all that wrapped into one. And then I'm a big fan of the arts and culture. So I used to live in New York and go to the museums quite often, go to Broadway, see a show, go to the symphony. I think music, just the whole thing, like the content on TikTok is an art form. It's like culture in a fire hose. So the things that humans do and create are like incredible. And we can call it media or content or whatever, or artistry, but it's I just yeah, it speaks to the human soul in some
Mm.
ways. So those are the things. What about yourself?
I enjoy swimming. I enjoy running. Spending time with my wife, my family. I think for me, and as a person of faith as well, sometimes I just enjoy reading our Bible. Just yeah, sit down sometimes and imagine. I love reading as well. Like generally, I just love reading, but importantly, I love connecting with people. So when I'm not building
Mhm.
something. I try to just reach out to somebody. Let's have a conversation. Let's just relax. But my go-to yeah, event is swimming. Right. Once I see water close by, my wife is always like, "Oh my God, it seems like the water is calling you."
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
but it
good.
helps me relax. To be honest, I totally
Hmm.
enjoy it.
Something about that for sure. Stand next to an ocean or a body of water, and I think all of our
I know,
stress
right?
levels just come down. It's
Yeah,
built into our core encoding, I think.
indeed. Sometimes when I just hear the waves on the water splashing,
Hmm.
yeah, there's just something about it. It's refreshing. Um, thank you. And we've come to the end of today's talk. Thank you so much for making our time for this. And how can they reach you if people want to connect more with you, just to know more what you do and probably have a chat? Is there a way they can get across?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Sean Everett. That's probably the easiest way. Or you can go to our website, shown on the screen here at virgins.team, and hit up the contact form. And yeah, easy. Love to connect with
Nice.
folks doing interesting stuff and building magical tools for the future. So love to see what you got cooking and chat about it. It's fun stuff.
Wonderful. And thank you. And bye for now, everyone. Just enjoy this episode and please reach out to Sean. Take care for now. Bye.